righty, welcome back to another episode of Thoughts in Stereo. Today we have my best friend Jacob. Of course, I have to clarify that he's also my best friend. All the way here. Are you on the East Coast right now, Jacob? Are you in Toronto?
I'm in snowy Toronto. You missed the storm the other day. I'm in Toronto.
Okay, so in Toronto right now, Jacob is a sound designer, producer, connector of dots. Overall, fantastic person. He's an innovator. He's an entrepreneur. I mean, there's not enough good things I could say about this guy. Truly one of the best people I've met. There's so much to talk about with you, Jacob. You've done a lot of things, and I just kind of want to jump into it. But I do want to start with, you're not from Toronto. You are from the east coast of Canada.
Yeah, so I'm originally from Dartmouth, Nova Scotia. So I spend quite a bit of time there still. I go in the summer, but I left maybe around 2015-ish or so, and actually went to where you are, beautiful sunny LA. And instead of going back, I decided to relocate to Toronto in between that time. So yeah, it's been a while since I lived there.
Were you, and of course you started producing when you were out there. I'm sure the community out there, there's not a big producer community out in Dartmouth, Nova Scotia.
Yeah.
What got you into that, and how did you kind of branch out from the East Coast to end up going to LA? What's the story there?
Yeah, great question. So yeah, there's not a huge community. What I will say though, that the music community in Nova Scotia, just in general, is really, really tight. There's a lot of great, we have two organizations. We have Music Nova Scotia. We have the ECMAs. We have a lot of different organizations. Now, a lot of those organizations and support are really focused on the folk community. That's why you see a lot of folk artists coming from there. But, we have Classified. We have other individuals that have been able to kind of break out of the East Coast. But for me, kind of growing up, I was just always surrounded by music. My dad was actually in probably one of the first hip hop groups in Canada back in 88 or 89. They actually opened the ECMAs, the East Coast Music Awards. They were the first rap group to do that back, I think, in 88 or 89. And so I've always been surrounded by music. It's always something that's just been around and something I loved. It wasn't until about I was 14 or 15, and like most individuals, got a cracked version of FL Studio.
Oh,
it was kind of just like a video game at that point, kind of put in the blocks and pieces together, and from that kind of just built up this passion and stuff. But to your point about getting out of Nova Scotia, I actually did that through film, and we can definitely get into how, for me, film and audio, video and audio, have been such a big component of my life. Growing up, I had two passions, not just music, but I also really wanted to be a director for a really long time when I was younger. And so that's really what took me to Hollywood with my best friend, White Trash Tyler. And and then we continue on. Yeah.
Did you go to school in LA for video?
So I actually went to school in Nova Scotia. I did recording engineering. So I have a degree as an engineer. I hated it. Also again, going back to folk and stuff like that, it was very limited as far as what was capable on the East Coast. I remember one day the teacher said we had extra money to buy some more gear. And this is right around the time when Lil Wayne and everybody started using autotune. All the rappers were using autotune. And I suggested that we get autotune, and his response to me was if they can't sing, they can't be in the recording studio. Awesome. And I just remember that as a moment of man, this is a mentality that I need to get away from, because literally if I'm going to go into any studio tomorrow, most individuals are going to ask for autotune. And here is my teacher saying, oh, if they can't sing, they don't deserve to be in here. So, those were some of the factors that I guess drove me out of the province, even though, I still have a big love for it.
That's really interesting. So you said you went to LA in 2015.
Around that time, so yeah, I can give you the little story. So my best friend, White Trash Tyler, who wasn't White Trash Tyler at the time, just Tyler. He was graduating from SMU, which is a college back home. He decided, I might be getting this wrong, a little bit wrong, so sorry, Tyler, for telling your life. But yeah, he left to go to LA, I believe, for about a month or so, just after graduating, and then he basically just never came back. He just, he always had a passion and a love for video. And I think after graduating business and stuff and being able to go out there and see the opportunities, he was able to just make a lot of connections. And that was really the catalyst for me going to LA, because he opened so many doors for like those first probably, I guess, 6 to 8 months or so that he was there before I ever ventured there. He was really able to meet with a lot of individuals that ended up opening doors for both of us. And ultimately was the result was Look Mom, I Can Fly, which we can get into later. But yeah, long story short, I went out there and I was one of the VHS kids that was shooting all of the VHS stuff for Kanye West. So I was a part of like the famous music video. I was a part of, a bunch of different stuff around that Life of Pablo time. And yeah, that was kind of a crazy experience, but kind of like my first real introduction, I guess, to the music scene, even though it was through visuals, you know?
Yeah, I'm sure that's like a crazy kind of way to jump in. Like you're jumping right into like, the A-list kind of stuff.
That's dope.
What was it like, working on the well, you said it was the Life of Pablo era kind of stuff, right? You were doing,
yeah.
What was it like being around those guys at that time? Like, how was that for you as like your first kind of thing? Like, what did you learn?
Well, let me just break every NDA here and spill all the beans. And
oh, no.
I'm just joking. So from my own personal experience and stuff, it was crazy because like I got to be a fly on the wall with like my favorite artist and my favorite producer and all the people that he was working with. So for me, it was just like I literally went from Nova Scotia to like in a room with
Kanye
at Kanye's house. You know what I mean? So it was just like it was the craziest time. I was broke. I had no clue what I was doing. And I think all of us in that kind of circle were just trying to figure things out. But yeah, as far as those experiences and stuff, like I said, it was like I went to music school. It was like I went to fashion school. It was like I went to entrepreneurship 101, all these different things, because literally like almost 24 hours of the day, we were walking around with cameras, just, filming his entire life, essentially. And so from that, I just learned so much about not only the industry, but also I think like to a degree about myself, because it's really awesome to kind of look through that lens and see all those individuals. But I kind of relate it to like, I almost like, even though I'm in those rooms and stuff, I wasn't in there because like I deserved to be there, or I was there for like a session or something like that. Like I wasn't there because I was the producer or the artist or, that got in there. I was just kind of like observing the whole thing. And it really made me kind of just think about what I wanted to get out of my life and do with my time, because I did want to be in those sessions. Like I said, since I was 13 or 14, I loved production as much as I loved filming and stuff. And ultimately, I love production more than I love filming. That's why I've totally kind of ventured into it. And for me, it was just it's really hard to describe, man. It's like it was the best of times, man. It was really fun.
Yeah, that sounds really fun. That sounds really awesome.
I can imagine just that jump from Nova Scotia, like I feel like would shock a lot of people. That must have been awesome.
How did you said you have family back home in Nova Scotia? Yeah,
all my family still lives there, like, and all my friends basically. Like nobody's really left other than Tyler.
What was kind of the reaction of people when you're like, "Hey, I'm actually going to LA to go work with like Ye or whatever"? Like, what did they say?
Yeah, I mean, I think for a lot of people it was hard to believe, and also too like this was so under like the wraps again, kind of in that like NDA lifestyle, like. I mean, there's nothing I can really tell. Sorry, there's a big fire truck. I apologize going by.
That's okay.
There's not much that I can really like tell you guys about any of those stories and situations, nor do I really want to, because they were like his situations and stuff. So it was kind of just like we're out there doing this amazing thing, but yet we're not really like able to talk about it, or I guess to a degree, in a way, to kind of like build off it, because like, you know, ultimately you're just, you know, a credit somewhere along, you know, the liner notes, let's say for like whether it's the famous music video or something like that. But like at the end of the day, these are like Kanye's ideas and Kanye's execution of those ideas and stuff. You're like honestly just like a small part of that. So it's like you can't even really like take credit. You know what I'm trying to say? Like,
no, I feel you.
It was hard to kind of say like, oh, kind of claim something as our own. I will say though that it was like being in like a hyperbolic time chamber. You learn all those crazy skills and how to execute, especially on like tight timelines and stuff. And I think for myself, and probably I could speak for everybody else that was around at that time, we used those skills that we learned to do all the things that we're doing now and be able to kind of kick down the doors and stuff. So wow. Yeah, man, it was crazy. I mean, yeah, it still is crazy.
So then what's so from there to Look Mom, I Can Fly, like what's what's in between that? What's going on there?
A lot. So I'll keep it really short, but yeah, long story short, I came to Toronto, and I started living here. I didn't want to go back to Nova Scotia, and I had to leave the States. So I came here, and I continued to kind of still do the visual stuff. I was a part of like projects for The Weeknd, a bunch of other like projects for like campaigns that either it was like through with Kylie, like and Adidas, or it was stuff through like Yeezy. And then ultimately through all of that, there was a bunch of Travis opportunities, and those opportunities happened because White Trash Tyler, he made a relationship with Travis on the Life of Pablo tour, I think it was. They kind of like hit it off. And so he started filming and shooting a lot of the stuff. And then that he was able to kind of bring me into the circle. And we did like a bunch of different ads and all kinds of other things that was just kind of happening in the Cactus Jack world. And ultimately, one of the things that ended up happening was the Look Mom, I Can Fly. I believe we actually started that in 2018 or I think it took around roughly 2 years to put together. When did it come out? 2019, 2020? I'm losing track of time here.
I think it was 2019.
Yeah. So it took roughly 2 years. So maybe 2017, I got involved and started helping Tyler edit it, and then ultimately went on to work on the score and the sound design.
Is scoring something that you've done before, like wanted to do to kind of like bring your two worlds, bring your two passions together?
Exactly. That was kind of like my chance. Like I said, I always wanted to do audio. And so for a lot of these things, like a lot of people wouldn't know this, but like I helped and did the sound design on like the famous music video. Like some of those breasts and stuff are this guy right here. You know? So, yeah, with all the projects that I was a part of, I always tried to work in that fact that I could do audio. And I think also, too, for a lot of the producers and stuff that I worked with on those things, it was kind of like a 2-for-1. Like, hey, Jacob can edit and shoot. And also he could probably like lay down some music or do some sound effects and stuff like that. And so it was kind of just a way that like I started working. And it worked really well with Tyler because he's such a great director and shooter. And I could do all of the audio stuff. And then we could come together both on the editing. And that's kind of what happened ultimately with the Look Mom, I Can Fly stuff. He was on tour shooting all this incredible footage. Him and Travis had the idea to like, put together this film. And then I was able to come see the footage, start editing stuff with him. And as things were getting edited, I just started doing all the like, because I just work that way, like the sound to it. And it just became one of those things where because it was so early on and I was like doing all these like sound to basically not like pitch like Netflix or anything, but just so we could actually, like a lot of films, the way that they would do it is like scoring would be the last thing that you do. Yeah. The film is shot, it's edited, then it's like audio stuff. But for us, it was always like 1 and 2 together right from the beginning. So it was just like a really easy way to see where we were going and what we were doing and how it would look and how that would match with the sound and stuff. And I was just kind of there from the beginning and was able to kind of take it all the way to the finish line.
Man, that's so cool. That must be awesome. And it's also inspiring watching footage of Travis from all these years, from, little clips to massive stadium tours and festivals and all this stuff. And you're just sitting there editing it, getting inspired from it, thinking what I put behind this, what's going to bring out the best emotion at this time in the film and stuff. I personally loved the film. So
thank you, appreciate that. And then just for everybody out there too, like just to be 100% clear, I scored that film in FL Studio. So for any of the listeners out there, the producers out there that are interested in any of this, you can definitely do it, and you can definitely do it in FL Studio. I think the greatest benefit of that too is that that world isn't that diversified. There's not a lot of individuals of color, not a lot of people from backgrounds like myself. And for anybody that's out there, I think there's actually a benefit in this, like to be able to know how to use halftime and all these other things. That's what, at least for me, I think really helped with the film, because you don't want to take, like, you know, Travis has built such an amazing catalog and such a crazy world with the space delays and everything. It would be a shame to just lose that and then have some like score that's just like, oh, cinematic in that sense, you know what I mean? It's like you want those textures of hip hop and stuff like that. And I think moving forward, there's going to be a lot more individuals that get opportunities like this, and there's going to be a lot more chances for people like me and ultimately people like you, the listener, to hopefully be able to like make music for those things. And I think it's such an awesome an awesome thing to be able to open up FL. Instead of making a beat, you could like score a Nike commercial for somebody and still be using like halftime and all those type of things to really stand out, because a lot of the old folks that are out there like going to the studio with like 40-piece orchestra and stuff aren't doing that. And I think that's a really cool way to stand out.
That's a really interesting perspective, Jacob. I was going to ask you, when you said you brought, you know, you did an FL. So how would you have like a screen where you'd be referencing the movie and then like you'd have FL open and another screen and then kind of just cross-reference like that?
Yeah, so I'm going to be 100% with you too. It's not the best of systems. There definitely is. You're in like Ableton or Logic, you're probably way better off, because then you can run Mac and stuff like that. So there is a slight lag, but there is a video player if anybody wants to try it out. There's a video player in FL Studio that you can open up. You just drag and drop your MP4 into it, and then you can kind of go from there. So for me, just because I'm on PC and like I said, it you know, FL is not really made for doing this type of stuff. All I had to do is and this is the benefit of being able to do both when it comes to editing and the visual, is I just put little cues, literally like pieces of sound, like little beeps like that, when I knew I had to kind of like hit a cue. So then that way, if for some reason my computer was lagging or anything like that, I knew, oh, I just have to hit that little like bleep so that I can, you know, swell right up to it and stuff like that. So that's all I had to do to kind of work around that. But yeah.
Nice. That's a good workaround.
This guy really knows what he's doing, eh? Who would have thought? This guy really knows what he's doing.
No, listen, guys. I had to Google all of this before we did this podcast, right?
Yeah, but so does everyone has to do that. Everyone has to do that. That's why Google's there.
I went to the Los Angeles Film School for music production for 18 months. And while I was there, one of the courses, because it was a film school, they made us do... Not made us, I wanted to as well. It was very interesting. A scoring month. It was a class, and they would give us these little, you know, minute and a half trailers, teach us how to like lock these like SMPTE time codes and like you were saying, learning how to hit certain cues and teaching you how to find the right tempo so that you can hit all the cues. Like, it was so interesting and so intricate, and to think that you did it kind of, I don't want to say hacking it, because it's not obviously not hacking it, but like you did it through FL, through your own system that like isn't what these, you know, top of the line guys use, but you still got the job done, and it still sounds incredible. And you know, you did it your own way and found your own way to do it. It's, you know, there is no set way, is I guess what I'm trying to say. Which I
like that. I like the hacking thing. That's kind of like I think that's honestly like a kind of a cool way to do it. Like, even to like I did half of probably maybe 65% of the sound design as well on that, and a big chunk of that I spent like a month out at Skywalker Ranch, which is George Lucas's place.
It's incredible.
To finish that off, I went there twice with Tyler and some of the other members from the team, and it's again, to your point, like, you know, big systems, all this type of stuff, and it was just like, so like,
you're like, here's my laptop.
I know, it was like, it felt so wrong to me. I think it's the same for any producer that's been to, like, you could go to Conway, wherever, and then you just plug in through the aux your laptop. It's that type of thing where you're just like, wow, like, you know what I mean? So yeah, it's cool.
I feel kind of weird. You're like, everyone in the room's judging me because I'm using my laptop, but like, I don't care. It still sounds fire.
This guy will say a story, and then I'll immediately have like 7,000 more questions. Like, can you tell us anything about Skywalker Ranch? Was it incredible?
Yeah. So, I definitely can. So, Skywalker, for anybody that doesn't know, I believe it was after the first film or the second film, George Lucas decided to buy this ranch. It's in San Francisco, and it actually was called Lucas Valley, I believe, before he even purchased it. It's this beautiful valley. You guys can Google it if you want to see it. It's this beautiful valley where he put state-of-the-art sound equipment and stuff for all the Skywalker films. So that's where they house all the like lightsaber sounds, and that's where they make them all. The other crazy thing about it, though, is that you actually can live on the ranch. It's like way out of everything. So there's no paparazzi, nothing like that. And then on top of that, the state-of-the-art stuff, it's all built so that if you're at, let's say, your house where you might be staying, you can't see any of the locations. It's all built into the like nature and stuff. And there's like deer running around and hawks and all these type of...
an episode of The Chef Show.
Yes.
Where he goes to Skywalker Ranch. And I that was the first time I heard about it. And they like go into the garden. They pick food out of the garden. The chefs cook it right there.
Yeah.
He talks about how he did the Mandalorian at the ranch and how they did Lion King at the ranch and all this different.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Like all these actors and directors and stuff are just kind of like walking around and stuff. I actually think it'd be crazy to do something like that. I think for like producers and for music, like to have a place. I actually always thought that Nova Scotia would be a great place for that, where it's like off the beaten path. You're not going to have like paparazzi and stuff like that. And if you did it in the right way, kind of like they did at Skywalker, you could have it feel really remote and have artists show up and producers that were able to just kind of be themselves and not worry about like all that other crap. And I think that's what they do so well there for filmmakers.
That's incredible. Wow, what an experience that must have been. Like, honestly, I hope to one day make it out to Skywalker Ranch.
The first day we actually went there was May the 4th. So May the 4th.
No way.
Oh, come on.
So we watched,
was meant
like,
to be.
I know, we watched,
This
is the way, or whatever the Mandalorian.
What was the connection between Look Mom I Can Fly and Skywalker Ranch? Like, why did you guys?
So yeah, I think Netflix just has like a bunch of different production houses and stuff like that, and one of the relationships they have with is obviously Skywalker. And so I think for a lot of their films, they send it out that way, especially a lot of the action stuff. And they just felt with like the stage stuff and we just really wanted it to feel like you were at that concert. Like that was the big thing, is like, how can we make like a movie bump the same way like his albums do? Like we didn't want to lose that feeling. So we spent a lot of time. I know a lot of people probably will never hear it this way, but doing like the 5.1 and stuff like that. So like, it's like, yeah, to be in there and hear like the surround sound and the crowd all around you, it like brings you back to feeling like you're in, you were in the arena with those kids screaming, stage diving, all that type of stuff. So, yeah.
Oh, man, that's dope.
Yeah, that's incredible. Okay, I have a couple things that I'm going to do this one first. So after Look Mom, I Could Fly comes out, you know, everyone loves it. Your name is now out there. So what doors does that open for you? Where did you go from there? Because then you got a few more placements recently. So if you want to like talk about those, or like how, I don't know if that opened the door. Oh, well, come on. That's one of them. But like, like that, I'm sure that opened a lot of doors. No, did it not?
Yeah, 100%. So again, for anybody that's listening, you know, for me, I guess what I can say I take away from this whole thing is that there's all these different ways to kind of like make it into the industry and make all these different connections. And for me, that ended up being visually, like there's so many people probably knocking down the door for whatever, you know, the next up and coming rapper saying, oh, I want to send you beats. And then like they probably need that guy that's really good at Photoshop, or that woman that's so great at shooting and all these other things. So there's different ways that you can kind of break into these circles. And for me, that's kind of how it works. So the biggest thing for me after the film drop was just saying, hey, I really want to let all these different people know that like, I want to switch the conversation. I want to go from like, hey, I'm doing the score for the Travis Scott doc to like, hey, I'm doing the next Travis album, you know, like that. I really wanted to switch the conversation that way. So that was just a big jump that myself, and then also like my manager, Mike Bully, had to kind of do. But yeah, like you said, over the year and a half after, I guess, the film dropped, I was able to start actually getting placements. And this is something I wanted to do since I was reading Scratch magazine back in Dartmouth, Nova Scotia, hopping on buses to like go find, dig through crates of records and put them in an MPC and stuff. Like I've been wanting to do this my entire life. So the idea that like finally I started to be able to achieve some of those things is just like, I can't even describe like the feeling. And I want, yeah, hopefully from that, if anybody's like listening and they have other skill sets, think about how you can use those other skill sets to hack. I guess we'll say that again. Figure out how to get into those different teams and yeah, be an asset. The more value you can bring to anybody, the better off you're going to be in your life.
Really good perspective.
Yeah, that's a great note.
I was going to say one thing. You are like I've got melodies from you before that you sent me, and they are really, really good. You are fantastic at doing that stuff. And it's of course no surprise. Like clearly you've been working for a long time and you're really good at sound design. But I am always impressed when you send me stuff. And I'm sure a lot of people are too. And I'm sure that's led to a lot of the things that you've gotten. Were you like, in terms of playing music, do you have like any classical training, one might say, or anything like that?
Yeah, so I am just an amazing piano player, multi-instrumental.
Oh, here we go.
Here comes the cap. No, I literally know nothing. I have no training. And to be quite honest with you, like, I was really scared when I had to do like the scoring stuff because I don't know any theory. And I know that's like a lot of those people are just like so classically trained and so good that way. So that really helped improve like my skill set so that, after when it comes to melodies and all that. But to be honest with you, I was like a sample and drum guy. Like I was like drum guy first. Like when I think of like Wonder Girl and Boy Wonder and people like that, I was just like, I wanted to bounce like that. You know what I mean? For me, it was never really about the sound or the instruments. I think in doing a lot of the scoring and stuff, that switched my perspective. But then also seeing people like Dukes and all these individuals like, become loop makers, sample makers, whatever you want to call them today. That was like super interesting for me. So I had to spend like a couple of years really fine tuning my chops that way. And that's where I think like I picked up a lot and became a better player and, learned things online and figured out sound design and stuff, which I'm still dabbling away with and trying to improve every single day. So by no means do I think like my goal has always been to be like, if I could combine Frank Dukes, Mike Dean, and Boy Wonder together in a pot and like spit out whatever that was, I hope that like is me at some point. Like I want to be able to hop on the synth and just push a couple knobs and it's just like the craziest sound like Mike Dean. I want to hop over to FL Studio, make the craziest bounce like Boy Wonder, and then I want to like put the sizzle on top with the textures and the sounds and stuff from the knowledge of like Frank Dukes to be like, oh, we need that bossa nova this, and there was this thing they did in the 60s, we're going to route it that way. And like that to me was like what I wanted to become and still want to become. I definitely don't think I'm there yet.
What an incredible goal. Now for I love that. And I think that that's completely attainable for someone like yourself and what you've done. And from the story that you told us from where you came from and where you are now, it's definitely in your sights. There's no question about that. Now, how are you actively working at being more like those three guys? Not necessarily more like those three, but, fine-tuning your skills.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it, let's say when it comes to the playing and stuff, like, around Christmas this year, I signed up for like 3 different, I think it's playground sessions, melodics, and another one, like just learning more about chords and different chord progressions and stuff like that. When it comes to like, I've been fortunate enough to have conversations with somebody like, like Dukes and pick his brain about, asking the question, why does this deserve to be in the sample or the music and stuff like that? And from that, really becoming selective with like the type of sounds and stuff that I use. Mm-hmm. I've had a chance to, work and be around, Boy Wonder. And again, other individuals who I really respect when it comes to like their drums and stuff like that. So I think the biggest thing for me, and I think I've always been it, is like, I'm a lifelong learner. Like, I honestly don't know if I'll ever get to a place where I'm just like satisfied, if you know what I mean. But for me, it's all about just like studying and then trying to inject my own, because I don't want to like copy anybody or anything like that, inject my own kind of like sound or taste into what I'm doing, you know? I don't know if that was a good enough answer, but
no,
yeah.
no, 100%.
It's great. I'm wondering because, you know, for myself as well, just finding new ways to learn new stuff. You know, you need those because sometimes the way one person thinks, the way one person thinks they need to do something in order to learn or get to a certain point might not be the right way for them. So exploring new options and new ways of learning, I think, is always the best.
And also being too, like, I think for a lot of that stuff is just taking the time to try to be like consistent with it too. Like even with like, you know, learning to play the piano and chords and all that and music theory, it's like if you don't do it for a couple of weeks, you just kind of like forget it, you know, so you have to kind of keep practicing and stuff. So I think for a lot of that stuff too is just like if you really say that's what you want to do, you got to back it up with your actions. And if that means getting up an hour early before work and making those beats or doing that editing or whatever it is that's your passion, if you say that that's what you want, like it's definitely, you at least have a 50-50 shot, but you won't have that 50-50 shot if you don't get up and like work towards it every day.
It's only you that's going to feel good about doing it. And it's only you that's going to be disappointed when you don't do it.
Yeah.
Kind of thing, you know?
Well said, Nick, actually. Yeah, that is very true. Okay, so Jacob, I want to talk now about Octave.
Yes.
Your plugin. The first thing I want to ask is, you are really good at marketing Octave on Instagram, the ads you put together, this, you know, everything that comes with that. Is this the first, you know, was Octave kind of like the first time you were doing that kind of online marketing stuff, or you know, had you been doing that before?
Yeah. So I've been like, I guess, studying again, learning all about it since probably 2019-ish, like before midway through like the film. Yeah. So Octave, to be honest and totally transparent, was definitely like, I honestly didn't think it was going to be a success, to be 100% with you guys. Like I had a goal of, you know, if I could get this to 100 people over like a year, I would feel I would be over the moon, you know? So, yes, you know, when it comes to the marketing and stuff, in my corner, I've had like my mentor, my homie Gabe. He's been a big help. I found him in like 2019. He was doing like, what's called MIDI Money now. They do like the producer funnels and stuff like that. He just opened me to the world of like funnels and marketing and advertising and stuff like that. And from that, I read all those books behind me and started listening to podcasts and all those type of things, and was able to kind of work my skill set, which I already have like the visual elements and the sound elements, with like the marketing stuff, because I think for producers, especially moving forward, and I think COVID was a good insight to all this. It's like the more control and the more ownership we have, like the better off that we'll be. So that, like, you know, if the industry shuts down or whatever, it's like we have these other outlets to continue to feed our families. We have these other outlets to be creative in and to ultimately feel fulfilled in as well too. Because I think there's a lot of people that think they can only make it based, I guess, off of industry money, I guess you could call it, where it's like, oh, I can only make it if I get, let's say, a publishing check or placements and stuff like that. Whereas like really great examples, I mean, Illmind, there's so many great examples of people that like you can do both, and you have that freedom, I guess, when you have your own business and stuff like that, to say, hey, maybe I don't want to do that record. You can pick and choose things as well too. Whereas like the less you have you're going to have to kind of take everything to pay the bills and stuff.
Yeah, you're absolutely right.
Well said. It's very true. No, it is very true. And I think you're right that last year, you know, having the industry shut down kind of shocked a lot of people and it made a lot of people kind of diversify, one might say. But okay, I want to talk about Octave as an actual plugin right now.
Sure.
So what was like, you know, what was your goal? Like, not the goal to get it to 100 people, but like when you were like, I want to make a plugin, like where did that come from? How did you get all the sounds? Because it's a really quality plugin, I will say. Like all the sounds in there are ready to use as pretty much as soon as you load them up. It's like very little tweaking has to be done, if at all. And I think that's a lot of, something that a lot of producers are missing, or the community is missing in general. So what kind of inspired you to do that? And like, how did that come about, recording all the sounds? It's, tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah. So, honestly, the way that it all happened is wanted to put out a sample pack. I was inspired by like what Dukes and all those guys were at Kingsway were doing. And I was just trying to think about like, how can I stand out compared to all these great musicians and stuff like that. And what I came up with was like, hey, if I put together the samples and then I just offer a couple of the sounds that I used in the samples, because like I have the Moog, I was traveling all over the place before COVID, using different equipment and stuff. I was like, hey, I can basically record these sounds and stuff that I'm making and using. I could offer maybe like, 20 to 30 of them in this, in like a plugin form that individuals could use. So it was like samples first and then like this bonus plugin. And literally within like a week or two, I had to pivot because I realized nobody wanted the samples and they all wanted the plugin. And so to be quite honest and open with you guys, like it's been a huge learning curve over the last 9-10 months. Well, I guess we're 11 months. So we actually launched the week that the pandemic was announced back in March. So we're coming up to almost being around for a year now. But yeah, when it, the process of getting it all done and stuff, I spent a lot of time. I flew a couple times to Montreal and worked out of this great place called the Synth Palace. There's about, $250,000 worth of gear there. And I just I just huddled in there and just like used all the gear and all the equipment to make the samples and ultimately make the sounds that were in like the very first version of Octave. And then when I found out, to your point, there was a need of plugin, because like I personally have this myself too. Even like, I mean, the Moog behind me is a great example of like, I spent like an hour working on a preset and then I'm like, I don't even know if this is good. It's just like and I'm sure it happens. I know going through Omnisphere and stuff like that and going through 7,000 presets, trying to find that right sound, it can actually be like beat block. It can cause the beat block. And it's not, I don't think software should do that. It shouldn't stand in the way of your creativity. And so for myself, when it came to kind of curating the sounds, number one, can I make a sample out of it? If it passes that kind of test, most likely another rap producer specifically could probably use it. And then as it kind of caught traction and stuff, I realized like, whoa, 30 sounds that I think it originally came out with. And, a lot of the bugs and other things that were in it, I was like, this is not like acceptable. We got to go back to the drawing board. So ultimately, I continued to do updates and stuff. We released Octave Deluxe in November of last year. There's like a full 300 sounds. I got Aaron Paris in there to do like live strings and sounds. I had my homie Harag. We did like live guitar. Like I just really expanded all the different sounds. And I'm going to continue to do that. We have a bunch of products that we're working on now. I got an amazing developer over in the UK. His name is Josh. He's been a trooper, and together we've been collabing on the next project, which I don't want to give away too many. But it's really good. I'm like super excited about this one. Today was a first official day. Before I was doing this, I'll let you guys know, I started like the sound design for it. So we're into that phase of like beta testing, getting the sounds there. And I have a bunch of sessions booked with some amazing sample makers and creators because that's a big thing too for me. It's like I really only want to make like plugins and software for hip hop producers. I feel like for too damn long we've always had, and this is like a part of hip hop, but like we've always had to take nothing and turn it into something, whether it was the turntables or whatever it was. It's like you always had to take bits and pieces of other things and make it work. And like I feel like finally we have a chance to just really focus in on especially the number one genre. Why not? And if I can figure out how to put the right kind of tech team and that doesn't become a burden or a roadblock for producers, then I can collaborate with all these amazing people and bring their sound to like technology. And for me, that's like what's really, really exciting me right now.
Incredible. That's incredible.
That sounds really exciting. When is the not to rush you, but when's the expected release date of something new?
Not, to be honest, I really don't know yet. I think for this one, I want to spend more time getting my friends and stuff involved, making sure that it really, again, like with the original Octave, I didn't think it was going to kind of blow up this way. And now we've really built like a community, and I understand that rap producers are really supporting this just for the fact too, I think that like, because we're so rap focused. And so I want to make sure that there's like a lot of beta testers, there's no bugs, that we just got the best system kind of going. And so I'm hopeful for like roughly around spring, you could probably start seeing some teasers and some things. And then at some point we'll follow up with a big bang. Like for this one, I want to go all out. I want to knock it out of the park. So I really think like we cracked the code on this, and it might be like okay, I'm gonna be speaking out a line here, but maybe like the next omnisphere
in the universe.
The next big one of like it becomes so ingrained in the culture that it's just like it's like halftime or something like that.
If you don't have it, people are like, wait, what? You don't? How do you not have it?
Exactly. It's like you just see too many people using it and stuff. And like I think we can do it. I think we can do it. So
I think you can too. I mean, like if Octave Deluxe is any indication, like every time I open that, I'm like, okay, here we go.
It is
like,
a very, very great plugin.
There you go.
Appreciate it, guys.
I don't even make hip hop or rap music almost at all, but I'm more in the pop and dance world, and I still open it, and it's still very useful amongst the things I'm working on. I love it, man. You did a really great job with that.
Appreciate it,
Jacob. You're clearly determined. You're very talented. You have the drive. You have the vision, which is the most important thing. I really think that whatever you do in life, you're going to be successful at it. You're just that kind of person. So I'm very much looking forward to seeing what this next big bang that my best friend Jacob is putting out is. I'm very much looking forward to that.
Me too, man.
Who do you like working with in the city? Like, I know you have a few people that you tend to work with. What gets you excited right now?
Well, you're not in the city anymore, so I can't say you, right?
No, I don't count anymore, unfortunately.
You don't count anymore. You're an LA guy.
I'm
Hollywood
too LA now. I went Hollywood, yeah.
Well, our good friends Jordan and Kyle, they've both been on the show, I believe, right?
They have.
I don't know. Maybe you guys can hyperlink somewhere to their old episode. They're great. Two amazing artists, two amazing writers. I believe super, super heavy in them. Chris LaRocca, that's my homie. That's my homie for life. Amazing guy, really good dude. I just, again, like I think the biggest thing for me is just like, I'm so happy right now being in Toronto because there's like, I feel like there was probably, and I wasn't here, so I can't fully speak on it. It was just from an outside perspective, like, when all this stuff was happening with Weeknd or Drake at the time, it felt like there was this momentum, this buzz, these feelings and stuff like that. I think when I got to Toronto, because those guys, became superstars and stuff, there was a lot of kind of like closed offness, I guess I could say. It's like, not that many people really wanted to like welcome you with open arms in that sense. Yeah. And I think over the last, couple years that I've been here, that's been changing a lot. And I'm seeing like a lot more like studio sessions happen and collaborations and all these things. And I'm just like really happy to kind of be here. I just, unfortunately, obviously with COVID, those things can't happen. But like, I have a feeling that by summer and things start opening up, like I had the feeling that like there's all this creative energy just waiting to kind of explode here. And I'm really hoping that like, the next Drake or the next Weeknd, whoever it might be, is like a part of that, and yeah. So I'm just excited to see everybody win, bro. That's it.
Amazing, brother. Yeah. I think we covered a lot of stuff here. I don't know we caught all the main points, I think. Did you want to say anything else, Jacob? Did you want to plug anything, talk about anything else?
Yeah. So, I guess I have questions for you guys.
Oh, please.
You guys, here's a fun fact you guys probably might not know. I spent a decade, from 2008 to 2018, I worked for the CBC, and I still produce a weekly radio show for them. It's called Reclaimed. It's an Indigenous music show. Wow. I was producing the morning show up until 2018 for them here in Toronto. But I love asking questions and stuff. And I guess first I wanted to ask with the move and everything to LA, how has that, and this is COVID aside, because I know obviously there's probably been some hiccups and stuff with that, but like coming from Toronto, coming from Canada, like myself, I didn't do it for music. I did it, for film. But, I even right now I'm thinking about, okay, when the borders open up, well, they're open, but when everything opens up fully and everything's good to go, like I want to be going to LA and stuff like that. How have you found, like, again, that receptiveness, being able to like get sessions, meet people, like all that? Is it, I guess what I'm trying to say is that everything that we kind of as producers and musicians and stuff think it is, as far as like going to LA and chasing your dream and having those opportunities, do they still exist, especially in a pre-COVID world where like there's a lot of Zoom sessions happening and you could maybe be like a hit maker from your wherever you are?
100% it still exists, bro. 150% it's still I've been doing at least one session every day. If I
Wow.
wanted to, I could be doing 2, maybe 3. Like, and that's just pulling up on someone being like, I could do like 2 structured sessions, and then like at the end of it, if I have time, like, oh, let me just pull up to such and such's house, and we can do some stuff. But yeah, like things here are, what's actually really good. Everywhere I go, people are wearing masks, and getting tested very frequently.
Yep.
Which I'm like, okay, that's cool. Like, I'll see people like just walking their dog or taking a walk by themselves outdoors, just masked up for, like everybody. Like, it's surprising because it's like, I was talking to Chris LaRocca about this, and we were saying that it's better than like Toronto. It's better than what I was seeing back in Canada.
Yeah.
In terms of sessions, yes, people are definitely still doing sessions. It's definitely still going. I think coming out here, if you have like a good kind of network, I want to say, it helps a lot. I mean, it's not necessary. Like, you can definitely meet people and make stuff happen. But if you come here and are ready to put in the work, then 150% it's here. Like, it's still happening. So I would say, wholeheartedly, yes.
Yeah. What's been like the hardest thing in making that transition, to another country, a new city, and then trying to kick open all those doors?
Thankfully, I've had a lot of I've been here so many times in the past 2 or 3 years. I know a lot of people here. The hardest part right now was just being like mentally for me, just being like, I'm not going on another trip. Like, I live here now. Like, I can't go visit my family whenever I want to. And I can't, if I have a day where I'm not really doing anything or I don't feel like making music, I can't just drive to my friend's house, and hang out. Like, I have friends here, but like, obviously not to the same degree that I did back home. It's just one of those things where you kind of get for me, I kind of get a little bit down sometimes because I'm like, oh, I kind of don't really have anything else to do, which is a double-edged sword, because I'm like, well, then if I have nothing else to do, I might as well just keep working, keep trying to make it happen. And then there's times where I'm like, I don't really, I've been working so much, I've been doing this, I kind of want to just chill with someone. Thankfully, my roommates, Jack and his girlfriend Clara, who I'm here with, are amazing, and we hang out, and I love them so much, and whatever. So like, I'm never lonely, but I think for me, that was the hardest thing, being like, oh, I'm not living where I've lived my literal whole life, anymore. I'm somewhere completely different. I'm in a whole new culture. I'm in a whole new country. It's night and day. I think that was it more than anything. The music stuff is amazing. Like, back home, especially during COVID, it was like, I was just really just sitting around all day. And if I wasn't sitting around, I was making just beats on my computer and emailing. And emailing, I just hate emailing beats. I much prefer being with someone. And I think that since I've got here, I really have been pushing myself and, doing a bunch of, like, I have a session in about an hour from now, and after that I'm going to another session, and tomorrow I got stuff, and Saturday, so every day.
Your boy working.
Yeah, exactly. So, and that's like stuff that I wouldn't be able to do at home. I wouldn't be able to get in with these people that I really love getting in with. I maybe wouldn't even be able to get a response on email, but here I am being able to get into a session with them because I'm like, oh, I'm actually here. I can actually pull up on you. And they're like, okay, come. So, I think the accessibility is the main reason why I moved out here. If you know the right people, if you know how to move, you know how to talk to someone, if you know how to network, access is a huge thing out here. And then just like kind of adjusting to living by myself, and not being able to be like, oh, I don't feel like cooking tonight. I'll go to my mom's house and, see what she's up to. So I think those are probably the two biggest things of moving. And especially during right now, I think it was also with COVID, I think, I don't want to say it was a good time to move, but like, because it is busy, but not as busy as it has been. There's been times where I'll be here for a month, like 2 years ago, and be 3 sessions a day consistently for a whole month, like no stopping. And I think that it was kind of chill when I got here. So I had time to kind of set up, settle in, get to know my neighborhood, and not feel the pressure of, oh God, I got to go here. I got to do this. I got to do that. So in a sense, like with the things being as like kind of calmer, that was nice. People, I think, were also not really, they took a few months or to a few weeks off at the beginning of January, which is when I kind of moved in. So I think it's been working out. I'm feeling now more settled in, and I'm feeling more comfortable here. And I'm yeah, thank you. And I'm excited again to be working every day. I'm like, you know what, I'm here. This is the dream for a lot of people, and I'm here, and I'm very grateful, and I can't take it for granted. So I'm here working. I'm making sure that I'm not just here messing about and just be like, oh, I'm in LA, like, I'm here.
Yeah.
So, I think that would be my answer to that.
Well, it also helps too. It's so sunny right now, especially This is the week when I know half of the states are shut down. Nick, you're in Toronto, right?
I'm in Toronto.
Okay, yeah. So
Dude,
me and Nick.
I walked into my parking lot behind my house, and there's like a gate. So I just opened up the gate and usually just walk through, and I didn't look down. And I looked down, and I stepped into the snow, and my shoe was gone. Yeah. My shoe was completely gone and full of snow. It snowed a lot.
Yeah.
That's a thing about, like, also when I was in Toronto, it was very hard to wake up, and consistently overcast, consistently just straight lockdown. A lot of my friends had moved away. Actually, a few of them had moved away to a different province or, what have you. And then it's just kind of like, I'm just sitting here in the gray. It's snowy. Everything is closed. It's cold. I have nothing else to do. And so I was just kind of in this like same. So people were like, are you sure you want to move? Like, it's really bad there right now. And I'm like, I'm going to go. I'm going to be really safe. I'm not going to do anything reckless. I'm going to be sanitized, mask up all the time. I'm going to be careful for myself and, be conscious of others. And I'm going to just, I'm going to do my thing, because either I'm locked down in Toronto or I'm locked down in California. And I'm pretty sure I'd prefer to be locked down in California.
Yeah.
Getting a house here was hard enough, being Canadian, having no credit in the US and all that kind of stuff. So I was like, I just got to do this when I can. And Jack and I kind of just were like, fuck it. And we went.
That's great, man. Well, listen, congratulations. That's a big step towards some great things. I know you're going to kill it out there. And, man, I'm excited to see, what you get up to now that you're.
You know what? It's actually a month today. Today, a month ago is when I moved in. I've been here for a month. Wow. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you, Jacob, though, for those nice words. Thank you. Always,
bro. I think this has been great, guys. I really appreciate you guys inviting me on, and just so you know, too, like again, from a company standpoint, we're really trying to help rap producers, whether it's with the actual software, but other things. And one of the things that we're working on is this really big research project right now. I've been fortunate enough to have all these conversations with thousands of producers over the last year or so, thanks to the plugin. And there's some common things that a lot of individuals say. And I'm working on a big research project to hopefully clear up some of those either misconceptions and or questions that we all have. Like, a lot of people, we couldn't probably even put a number on how many other rap producers are out there doing what we're doing, or let alone how many it might be hobbyists versus like how many are maybe ending up on the charts every year. How much money can you get, or when you get paid, like all kinds of things like that. And as a team, we're putting together a really awesome research project. And maybe when that's all put together and stuff, I could come back on the show and share some of the stuff. Because I think
100%. What? Yeah, come on.
I hear a lot of individuals that say like they're just starting their career and they're like, I'm going to be the next like Dr. Dre. And I'm like, that Dr. Dre doesn't even really make music anymore. Like, he's so embedded in the culture because of, the things that he did in his past and all these other things. Like, you're kind of thinking about like you're jumping steps already. And I don't want you to be bummed out and depressed and all those other things that can happen when you say to yourself, hey, I want to be this, but you're actually not, following through on those expectations and stuff. So I think with some clarity and stuff, individuals will actually be able to walk away and pat themselves on the back and be like, hey, out of the 100,000 people, I'm in the top 10% because I'm selling beats online, or, whatever it might be that the research shows. And I'd love to be able to share some of that with you and your listeners.
Absolutely, man.
Like no question. No question.
Listeners would love.
Yeah. I think it'd be great. I can't wait to roll this out. I'm going to try my hardest to just get it out. I don't want anything for it. I just wanted to like put it out there so that, it's just, we all do this thing where we get in our heads and we're like, you get one placement and then like next Friday you're like, I suck. Where's my other, you know what I mean? It's like placement. Exactly. So to see some of those numbers and stuff, I think will give that perspective to be like, hey, I'm actually doing good. I'm doing a good job. And if you're not, you can then look at the steps ahead and be like, hey, if I just do these steps over the next 9, 10, 12 months, whatever it might be, I actually can get to that next place. So
Exactly.
yeah.
Incredible, brother. Thank you so much.
you.
Jacob, it's been a pleasure as always. We look forward to everything you got coming, and we look forward to you coming on next time. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to do this. Your stories are incredible, and you've had quite the career so far, and I'm very excited to see where it goes. I think that's it for me. Nick, anything else?
We covered so much. I learned a lot. I know our listeners loved hearing what you are going to love hearing what you said.
Yeah.
I just want to say thank you again, bro. This is awesome.
Appreciate it, guys.
What's your Jacob? What's your Instagram? At my best friend Jacob, right?
At my best friend Jacob. Everything is at my best friend Jacob.
Is there an underscore in there?
There is. Unfortunately, I've been fighting,
trying to get it out.
Trying to get just at my best friend Jacob by an inactive account. But you know how Instagram and stuff.
The worst. Yeah.
They really don't want to see me win, bro.
We're gonna get him. We're gonna get it.
Yeah. So but yeah, at my best friend Jacob, go check out octaveplugin.com.
Yes.
And we'll do so. Hey, listen, if you guys we'll put in a discount code stereo, all capital letters, 25% off. Okay.
Wow.
Stereo,
for
25%
for all your
off.
listeners. I'll go hop on the website right after this and put that in.
That's octaveplugin.com.
Octaveplugin.com. If you just go there and when you hit the checkout, put in the discount code stereo, all capital letters, 25% off.
Boom.
Jacob, boom, binga, bing, bada, boom, bada, bing, bada, boom. Nick, we're going to definitely make sure that our listeners know that. I think we're dropping, when is this episode? Whenever it comes out, we'll make sure it's there. Okay, so it's coming very soon. At this point, you'll already be listening to it. So go to octaveplugin.com, promo code stereo, 25% off. It's 100% worth it. I need everyone to go get this plugin if you're trying to make rap music, even if you're not. It's incredible. Jacob, again, thank you so much for coming on. I'm very excited to see what you do, and we'll talk soon.
Cool. Thanks a lot, guys.
Peace.
Peace.